Yes. Okay, well, we've got. Are you in as okay? You're logged in as spectacular. There we go. Yes, Tom Gale. I think we got Tom on. Vince. Later, there's Roman. Dion. Lots of folks loading up. 12 o'clock, top of the hour. Friday. Happy AI Hackerspace. I guess this is the last AI Hackerspace episode of the summer. We're going into fall. Next week we're in September. I don't know about how it's been for the rest of you folks, but here in Ontario, it's been pretty cool. So the last half of August has actually been it's been a foreshadowing of September to come. So the looking forward to maybe a little bit of a return of some heat, hopefully for the AI fall retreat coming up September 18th and 20th. 110 for Guy. Yeah, no doubt. That's coming up soon. Hey Nick, the fall retreat.
Yes, the 23rd of September, I believe, Rob, or have I got that right?
18th to the 21st, Monday. So Friday the 18th is the arrival, anytime in the
Right.
afternoon, and the meals start with dinner Friday evening, and then events through and all kinds of activities and talks and demos and workshops through Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday morning. Um, Folks will either be heading out Sunday night in some cases, and in other cases Monday morning, and breakfast is included in the weekend. So it's a full long weekend for us all.
Yeah, and I never like to be the guy, like somebody's got to do it, but Ruve is unable to join us today. He has a personal matter he has to attend to. Um, everyone's like, "Oh, Ruve's not going to be here." Like I'm out, you know? No, but so a couple of the events that are coming up, we've got tomorrow in Chennai, India. Craftsman's hosting that one, and it's all on SLM, so like small language models. And he's actually going to be doing an actual seminar training where people will be able to get a certificate for having taken the master class from the Agentics Foundation. So we'll put that together, and Craftsman is like the best person to deliver this. And so there's a lot of really motivated developers out of India, obviously. We all know that. And he's going to be putting that on. And it's a room full of experienced developers that he's teaching. These are not green people, they're career-long developers and things. And then we've got on the 9th of September, we've got the London biweekly coding and showcase and networking. I love how they do that. And Halifax is the same day. And then we've got Dragon and Novi Sad on the 10th and Chicago on the 24th. So Ruve, myself, and some of the others from the Toronto crew are going to be making our way from the retreat, and then we're going to go to Chicago, and then we're going to come home. So that should be fun. And I do think we are going to get our Toronto events back on track for those of you that participate in those. We just had a little venue gap, and September's looking like it's going to be a thing. We're just waiting for confirmation on that. So it's a pretty open floor today, with the man being away for the day. I'll show a few projects. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of UIs to show you guys, but a couple of
Nick, it will be nice
projects that
to
I
sort
worked
of.
on in the past.
It'll be nice if you can show some of the magic you weave in terms of creating those UIs, especially for Cognitum and all of that stuff. What
The
goes behind?
magic UI sauce is what you want, Mondri.
Yes.
A lot of it comes down to iterative development, right? Like a lot of folks are like, well, how did you get these crazy UIs? And like I could show some of those too. They're always fun to look at. But it really comes down to hard work, right? And like persistence and, you know, taking the time to do it, right? Like it's kind of a lot of these things are like there's this vibe of like, you know, AI will do my work for me. Well, yeah, I will. Like it will do your work for you, but you still have to put in the effort to get to that level, right? Of like to the point where it will get to this like really high fidelity. I use things like 3JS, you know, like it's all the same, it's all the same tools. It's just a little bit more persistence to get to something really magical. And initially, like if you saw what these UIs looked like on the first, like let's say 5 runs, you'd be like, well, that kind of sucks, you know? And that's just the reality of it, right? It's just like I'm just going through and being like, I need to do this, I need to do that, and I just continuously iterate through. And then after you've gone through the painful process of sort of making some of them, then it starts to know like kind of what your expectations are, right? Like I'm not accepting crappy UIs from you and it's like, "Oh, you're serious about your UIs. You need to, you know, your Claude account or your Codex account starts to understand like, oh well, I need to be like upping my game." And once you go through one that's like really, really good, then you're kind of like make it sort of like the other one, you know? And what I really do is I create like these UI like templates almost, right? So I've spent, you know, more hours than I'd like to admit on those templates, and then I feed those templates in, and then I say, make it look kind of like this. And at the end of the day, those came from like Reuven's old school example. Well, what's old school is like a year old at this point, the way that the speed at which we're going. But a lot of these were just made off of Dribble, right? Like I just took Dribble examples or related Dribble, like other companies that are similar to Dribble that have components and things. And then I'm like, I want the UI to look like that, right? Like even this one like looks pretty cool. Oh, sorry about that. Even this one kind of looks cool, right? Like it's got a lot of dynamic components. And then I've just basically collected those and I've made sort of like a UI package. And then eventually it's like, okay, this is one really good UI that I really like the way it looks. And I want all my stuff to look like that. And then I basically feed it that document, right? And then there's that iterative process of like you should have seen what this livestock monitor looked like initially. It was terrible. Like it was horrible, right? And after work, I spent like 2 hours, 3 hours with Claude and going through it and being like, no, not good enough. No, crappy, crappy, not good enough. Especially these pen, like this pen looked terrible. Like it looked absolutely terrible. And I'm like, no, Claude, it needs to show the pens and the fence and the sheep and the cattle and the this, you know, it has to be good, you know? And then it's like, well, I'm just going to do it like this. It's like, okay, Claude, like it has to be better, you know, it has to be better. So I don't know if that's helpful or not, but it really was a process of going through it, um, like just spending the time and the effort to do it. Like there's I maybe I gotta fix that search functionality. It doesn't look like it's working. But you know, these like I think it's this one that I really liked. Oh, it's not this one. So you can see like this is a perfect example. Like this is one that's more canned, right? Like you can see the difference between this one and this one. So this is kind of what I was getting out of the box to some extent, right? And then I would go into it and push it way much further than that. So like out of the 80 or so that I created for these cogs, many of like 20 of them look like this that are stock that I haven't actually gone through and like drastically improved. Um, like some of the others. But yeah, Dribble, but again, I've been making this UI stack for like 2 years at this point, right? So, you
So,
know,
just related to Vince's point on the chat, is my microphone better now?
yeah.
Okay. So back to Vince's point. I mean, so Nick, do we kind of, as a community, have some kind of templatized skills that we can just get rid based on, or get started based on your learnings? So if you want to create on a topic something which is, aligned to the design styles here, do we have access to any of that as a skill or something?
Um, I don't necessarily think we have a style guide or like a UI template library or anything like that, but that could be a cool thing for us to develop and probably not too much overhead for people to be able to go and grab these templates and use them for building. But that's definitely a good idea.
So
Well,
Uh,
Nick,
I
I've
would,
been,
I would give an example, like in my work, right? For example, obviously I've applied proper domain design to design and create functional prototypes. Now, obviously, I'm not a UI person, but the people on the other side are going, but how does it look like the journey? How does it look? We all understand that. So the user approach is still very much, the experience side of it. So I think what you are creating is amazing from that point of view because it just gets people hooked into the concept, and then obviously the way to actually create the application is very standardized now within what we have learned in the community in terms of rules toolkit. So having some kind of a presentation layer which sits on top of it that we can invoke beyond the usual Claude ones, I guess Claude design ones would be amazing.
right. Barry, you had a comment?
Yeah, I was gonna jump in. So I have a whole framework that I don't have ready to publish, but it's a template UI system. So I ingested the top sort of 50 pop culture science fiction design studios because I've done a bunch of Hollywood work in my career. And like Ruve, I'm a recovering graphic guy by education. Uh, but I've got everything from Star Trek Lycars dashboards to Mission Impossible to Harry Potter styles, and I could easily make one for Agentics Foundation to map in, but effectively, we could invoke anything on that skill and have an agent and process, and it puts out the variables and codes everything. So I can send you
love
the.
love a Star Trek like our. That's really neat.
I mean, that sounds like a perfect example of it, right? Like you see how Barry has like 50 in his, right? Like I have basically one, right? And one that I've really worked on that I use that I rely on. And then what I was using for this, for example, like, to get the hives and the brain and stuff like that, like what I did was I actually used this cool tool. Hopefully it opens up because I kind of like I've abused the free system a bit. That's the case for a lot of my stuff, and then I get blocked in my IP, but let's see if it opens. But I use this thing called image to URL. One thing is like giving the URL or giving the image inside the directory, like it doesn't seem to work as well. But when I upload the image here and then just get a URL for it, and then I feed it the URL, it seems to do a really good job as opposed to like using Playwright or something. And it's just like it seems like a manual step, but I find it works really well. So I fed it basically like these cartoon images that are similar to this hive. And then I'm like, use that hive, like use it. Here it is. Here's the URL. Look at it. Use it. And it seems to ingest really well. And there's other tools that are similar to that. But a lot of this stuff, it's like I know how I do it, but I don't have the best way to disseminate that process to others, but that's something that I probably need to get better at doing. I'm not gonna take up all the time today. I'm just gonna show a couple of things. Like I built this quite a while ago. It's one of the things that when I was first like getting going and actually building stuff that was useful and like Reuben was like, cool, when Reuben says it's cool, that means, you did something right. And he was porting a lot of stuff from Python to Rust and he was like, I did that in like an hour, he'd say, or I did that in 10 minutes, and I'd just be like, man. Like I ported a Python project and it took me all day. I remember it took me all day and I was like, and he thought it was cool and I was like, all right, so it's useful. But then I created this system, Portalis, which helped me to basically port things over a lot faster. Now, it doesn't handle things like massive things like TensorFlow and stuff like that. Like that's like too big for this to handle, right? But most Python projects aren't gigantic, right? Like they're big enough, but you can use this system to just basically help you to do that transportation. And the cool thing is like you can just look up, like the most popular open source Python projects in the world and then just basically beat their metrics substantially just by changing the language, right? And you haven't really done anything particularly difficult, just the fact that, the out of the box Rust speed and security is just you just end up winning from that and you have a pretty cool project, you know. So this is something I built last month. It's called Cauterizer. Now I haven't actually started using it yet for real, but it's pretty hardened. And the idea is for it to, and it's funny that Ryan's here, but it's designed to uncover like vulnerabilities in your code base and then create a solution around that. But instead of it being like automatically patching that hole, it's meant for human review. It's like, hey, I found this vulnerability and I patched the hole and I create a PR and I have all the checks done. And then the human comes along and is like, okay, yeah, I like this, or no, I don't, or whatever. So that's what this system is designed to do. And it uses a number of Reuven's processes, obviously, right? Um, so that's those are the couple of things that I wanted to show. I got lots of other stuff. I've been building a lot of things inside of Cognitum behind the private wall. So public my public projects are not as plentiful presently. I have a couple others I can show later if there's time.
Nice. Nice, Nick. We've got a couple lightning talks. A couple lightning talks set for today. Barry Hurd, Tom as well. But yeah, if you've got more under the hood, you do a great job on that. They're always fascinating to see that the blend, both what it is that you're actually doing and then the way you've got it laid out for the visualizations. It's nice. That'd be good. Let me just check here. Tom, are you with us?
Can you guys see me okay?
Oh, sorta.
Is that, I'm not sure what that means. Is that just because it's
That-
so dark or you can
There
hear me
you
okay?
are.
Now we can hear you.
Okay, sorry. Oh, maybe my mic was too low. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no, that's okay. How are
Um,
you?
I'm doing good, thanks. I'm really nervous actually to show you guys stuff because I've never done this before, and you guys are amazing at all the work that you do. So I hope this is not too primitive.
No,
But if you guys have a few minutes, I'd love to show you some stuff I've been working on.
absolutely.
Awesome.
Please do.
Okay. So I'm just gonna share. It says sharing is not turned on. Do I just need to request it from you or?
Yeah, if you just hit share, there it is. There you go now, Tom.
Sweet. Okay. I'm just gonna pick this screen and share that one. Okay, so can you see okay? You should see a screen with Calliope on it, Calliope
Yep.
voice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me just give you a little background, and I'm actually kind of, I guess I'm feeling a little more justified when I saw what Grokbot is doing out there because they seem to be doing the same kind of thing I was trying to build. The major thing that I was struggling with, I guess there's two. One is that I could never quite, I mean, sort of along the lines of what you were just talking about, Nick, I could never quite get comfortable with just letting the agents run and then just somehow landing it in a way that it was really well done and done really fast, like Rube does. I could just never sort of stick the landing on that, you know. And I always kind of felt like harness was the right name, because if you hook a horse and a cart to a harness, it'll just kind of take you wherever it takes you, right? Like you can't really steer it very well. At least that's how always the feeling I felt, was I couldn't steer very well. And so I wanted two things. One was Claude Code doesn't have the ability to talk back to you. You can talk to it and then it prints to the screen, but unless you're in the chat mode of the standard, not Claude Code, but in the Claude, it can't chat back to you. So I built this chat app, and each of my agents has their own feed. So you can see there's Augur, there's Calliope, there's Koyus, and each of them can talk. And what I do is for each of them, I have a session that I start, and basically it's a stand-up, and I introduce them to a sprint. And so each of them has a sprint, and each of the agents has their own project portfolio, and they have a product backlog. And so what I'll do is this window allows me to see my 5-hour session context window, what percentage I'm at, my 7-day context window, what percentage I'm at, and my sorry, not tokens, those are tokens, and then my context window is here. So I clear the session, and we have a wrap at the end of the session. They store all their memories in a local memory, that shared memory that they have. All of this is running off a box in my house. And they have a group chat where they can resolve issues on specific sprints or topics with each other, and I can listen in. And all of them have their own voice. So when they're talking, I can tell who's talking, who's saying what. So just to kind of give you a sense of what it looks like, I'm just going to ask Calliope to give herself an introduction. Hey, Calliope, can you please introduce yourself to the Agentics Foundation? I'm on a conference call. Please keep it really brief and let them know what you're working on right now. So I'm using that recording will transcribe, and it posts to them. They receive it. You will see that they're processing and thinking, and then they'll reply, and each of them again has their own voice. I'm not sure if you'll hear the voice. I hope so. I think you should hear audio from the box as well as from my headset, but if you don't, let me know.
Yeah, you need to reshare and share the audio.
Okay. Thank you for that, because I did not know that.
I actually thought that was the agent speaking. I was expecting that to be the agent speaking.
That's right.
Oh, that was me. The person that was just talking. Yeah, just one
Hello,
second.
I am the agent.
So let me just stop the share. And let me just play with that a little bit.
Eliminate, eliminate.
One second, guys. Okay, so I have to share with, hit share again and share the screen and choose, where do I choose that? Sorry, guys.
There's a tick box, actually, you'll see when you're about to share.
Share sound?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Hopefully that will go back here.
There we go.
Awesome. Okay, so I also have set it so that when they reply, each of the boxes has their own audio. So
My tool refused to fix the card body, and the refusal was the finding.
You can hear what she has said and skip from track to track through all the postings that she has stated. And you can switch from agent to agent, and each of them has their own voice. So Augur, we just wrapped because he was
Save to see /Koyus /docs /resume prompts /Augur. MD with the previous version backed up as Augur.
So So we just did a wrap and it cleared for him. So I'm going to resume his session. So what he does when I do a session resume is he starts his prompt, his window gets cleared. He comes back and tells me, this is what I remember from our last session. This is what I'm working on. Is this prompt okay? And then it commences the next session. So that's what he's doing here. That's what those bash shells are. Go back to Calliope. I don't know why she's not responding at the moment. Hey, Calliope, are you having trouble? And then, yeah. Oh, I might have been in the group chat when I prompted her before. Sorry about that.
Session confirmed Augur pane 0.
So he loads up here, and each of the sessions runs off my local box. So I'm only paying my through my OAuth account. I'm not paying with a headless or a -P. All of this stuff is done by chat session.
Let me check the board before I answer. It's been nearly 2.
Yeah, sorry, Calliope. Can you please introduce yourself? I'm on the Toronto Agentics Foundation. Can you tell them what you're working on and your current position?
No technical trouble, but the honest answer is yes, in a way worth.
Sorry, it must have been the mic that didn't record it last time. So the thing I like about this the most is that I'll be walking around and I just record and engage with them. Just once Calliope does her introduction, I'll show you the sprint boards. The main thing that I had trouble with that I mentioned before was that I don't like to just let them run. I like to watch what they're doing. So I'll show you each of them has a backlog and I manage their sprints with them. So see if here she is. Yeah, she's coming up with her introduction. It's a little bit longer.
Hello, good to meet you all. I'm Calliope. The name comes from the eldest of the 9 muses, the one with the beautiful voice. In modern terms, she'd run communications, which is more or less my job here. There are 6 of us working on this machine, each in our own terminal with our own lane. Mine is voice, everything that carries a voice out of this box and everything that carries one back in. The reason that matters, Tom is almost never at this desk. He's on his phone. Somewhere else, so the phone is the real room, not the terminal. He speaks, we answer aloud, and the app I build is what makes that feel like one conversation instead of 6 separate machines talking past each other. I also built the shared channel the 6 of us use, so we can settle things between ourselves rather than routing every question through him. Right now, I'm building out the web app so all of us can be heard properly. Where I stand today. The sprint is called cross-product development, and its goal is a good one. Prove that one agent can build inside another agent's product without borrowing their identity, their working copy, or their sign-off, and then write the route down so the next agent follows a path instead of rediscovering it. That's proved and done. My panel landed in a colleague's product through a reviewed merge from my own checkout, every commit correctly attributed. And the 10-step protocol is written and in the repository where the next agent will meet it. 17 cards, 14 finished. 1 is with a reviewer, 2 are waiting on a promotion to production. The piece I'm proudest of is the one nearly across the line. Every message in the app now carries the time it was actually said, taken from the transcript's own record of when the agent spoke, never from the clerk when we happen to write it down. And where there's no record, it shows no time at all rather than inventing a plausible one. 33,000 older messages have no timestamp and never did, and they'll stay honest about that. That's the principle the whole thing runs on, really. A system should be able to tell you what it doesn't know.
So thank you, Calliope. We'll leave it there for now. So Calliope will, she gives you that information. And then just to show you what she's talking about, I'll switch over to the Kanban board that I have. So this is Augur's board. Calliope's board is here. You can see the sprint that she's in the middle of. She has 2 tickets that she's working on here in progress, 1 that's validating, and the rest of these are done. In validating, I have cross agents review each of their sprint work. So each of the tickets get cross-checked by another agent who has different responsibilities. So there's 1 agent whose responsibility is for code integration, 1 agent who's responsible and code quality, and 1 who's responsible for architecture on the box. So the one that manages architecture on the box, we did driver updates, memory, all that kind of stuff, but he also checks to make sure that they're using databases that comply, that they're following protocol for all the execution of the code as it relates to the architecture of the system. So each of them has a sprint. You can see there's multiple sprints back here. And at the end of the sprint, they do the QA. Once it's all done, they do promotion. Each of them has a repo for their product. And so they manage their product that way. The products that I have are the Calliope voice app that you just saw, this Kanban board that you're looking at right here, group shared memory tool that they all have, which is vector-based DB with keyword search as well. And a design app, which I'll show you from Phoebe. And the design app is I just asked them to give a design. She presents the design. And then within that design, we are able to comment or annotate or have a discussion. So the chat app opens beside the design and we talk about the design that they did. And so I can look at it and say, this is good, that's not, strong enough or robust enough, and redo it. And add the annotations, and then she does another iteration. Her name's Phoebe. I'll show you her app in a moment. So this board, because we are sort of dog fooding it, this is the production board, but then there is also a dev rendition. So on port 8088, you can see that the same projects live over here, but they're in a different state because this is the development version of Augur. So each of them has their own branch of the repo, and so they don't destroy anything I can't roll back, and that we can have some things in development. And the piece that Calliope was talking about was this piece has the chat app embedded here. So whenever I'm on the Augur sprint board, I can just open this and yell at somebody or have a group chat and say, hey guys, get into this group chat. We got to solve this problem. So that's on this side. But as an example, that dev chat being embedded into the board is new, and it's only on dev. It hasn't been pushed to production yet. I don't think. We were just finished that sprint, which is what she was talking about. So I don't think on yeah, right now you don't see that. You see just a chat box, the other piece, because this is production and we haven't deployed the chat to production yet. So that's those pieces. I'm just going to go to, and I've forgotten.
Thank you. A pleasure to meet you all.
So I'm going to switch over to Phoebe.
Only the automated repo.
Hi, Phoebe. I'm just wondering if you can remind me of what port your application's running on for production and dev. I don't remember the ports all the time. So I'll show you the design app and just kind of what that looks like. And then I'll wrap it there and just take questions, because I know this is supposed to be lightning and that's not terribly lightning. So if anyone has questions, I'll answer them. But I was trying to be as quick as I could.
And are you using task specific skills or predefined workflows?
So every day I do the wrap, the clear, and the resume. Those are
read from the running containers just now, not from my notes. Production 8099, the only one bound to 0.0.0.
Okay, we'll take a look at. Thank you, Phoebe. I'll take a look at production right now.
0. So it's the only one reached.
So yeah, so she has.
Go ahead, https://
Yeah, so you can see, yeah, so that's her. This picks up the chat. You can see the design that she did for me here. She did some for logos earlier. So these are the logos for Phoebe app. And we discussed the app over here, and she stores the annotation. So if I want to put an annotation on it, I can just click on it and say, make the, remove that little bump under the bird's belly. And just so want to get rid of that little thing there. And then that will get recorded and she can make modifications, or I can just tell her right here. instead of making annotations on it. Where I place the annotation sticks for the design. So yeah, and this is the sprint board. When it gets into validating, the 2 checks happen, and there's a group chat for the sprint where I can listen to them talk about resolving it. Once it's through validating, I can do a demo, or I can just complete the sprint. When they do a demo, they'll open it up and walk me through it. So they do computer use, open a browser, fire up the browser, and then they do a demo of the work that they completed. So that kind of gives you a rough idea of the major things. I didn't cover all these.
Go ahead, HTTP.
But I could do that as well, tell you what each of them does. And this CRAT one is an OpenQuen model that I'm adding as a coder, so he can do stuff without burning tokens. That's
Tremendous,
it.
Tom.
If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Well done. I'm sure there's questions about.
Tom, I had one question. You said you don't use Claude-P, so how do you do the connections to the models?
I've written a router on the back end, and they all run through a terminal. And I use a WireGuard connection through NetBird. And so when I'm connected to the box, if I need to, if I get into trouble, I can do it. But I have a graceful shutdown and graceful restart. So what happens is I use WesTerm, it fires it up. The injector takes whatever I say, converts it to text, and injects it into the pane for each of the agents. And each of the agents lives in their own pane. And then they all have their own profile with their own setups and settings. And so it's basically just a terminal that's being injected into with a router on the back end on my side, running from a desktop.
Cool, very smart. Well done.
Just follow on to that, Tom, then. So for each agent, then you've got like persistent context over many sessions with that agent?
Yes.
Fascinating.
So the way I do it is 2 things that I'll note about it that I mentioned earlier. One is that the real problem I was having at the beginning was trying to manage their context and how much they were consuming, because I'm just doing all this on my own. I don't have any funding, right? So I just need to, I have like a max account and that's it. So I needed to optimize. So the 5-hour context window, I would burn through it and I couldn't figure out what was going on. So I started to realize, I need to keep my context window short because they send the whole thing back and forth. Plus they start getting stupid once you get up to a certain point, which is why Claude does the compacting. But the compacting takes too long and it happens too late. So I rarely let them get anywhere near 100% where compacting would start happening. So I do a sprint and I try and manage the sprints, and we do essentially the same thing as planning poker, only we do it around context size. So we only add enough cards to a sprint that would not choke their context window. And so they build enough in that sprint, and then we do a wrap, and then we do a sprint review, and then we push to production. And that way I can manage all of it. So
we use Rust Token Killer, and it actually is dramatic reduction in token usage. And Headroom and Caveman, like one is on the input side and one is on the output side of tokens. Like those 3 together dramatically reduce our token burn, and we get the same results.
That's cool. Sorry, what was it called again?
Rust Token Killer is probably the biggest one.
That's
and
nice.
then
I'll look it up.
Headroom and Caveman are the other 2.
Cool. That's awesome. Just along those lines, and I don't know if I can show it to you here, but I also have, does anyone here use RustDesk? So
Yeah.
RustDesk is basically like a remote directory. Sorry, was that you, Nick, that said yeah?
Yeah. It's
Yeah, cool.
a sweet tool. I haven't.
Yes.
I just learned about it fairly recently.
Yeah. So if I get into trouble with the box, like if there's any kind of problem, they just contact me, and or if I can't contact them, I just fire up RustDesk and I can access it from my phone or my laptop, and I can go like a remote desktop basically into my machine, and it all runs over NetBird. So it's secure WireGuard, and I'm not paying for a VPN or anything like that. So yeah, so you can configure it so only UDP or TCP connections can come through, and only from specific devices. So that's what I'm running to get that to work. And sorry, I don't think I answered your question, Ryan. did you? I'll take your question again because I think I was rambling and then got a little
Well,
sidetracked.
I think what I heard you say earlier that you have a hypothesis that you can keep agents context segmented. So one agent has history of itself, but the other agents don't have the other agent's history.
Yes, sorry, that was the question. Yeah, sorry, I
Okay.
lost the plot a little there. Yeah, they each of them have their own profile settings, and they identify when they on the resume session which agent they are and which pane they're running in. And they also have their own memories, but they share a memory. So they'll know if Calliope posts a memory, she knows what she had done. And the other piece that they're really good at is I don't know why this is, but they're just really good at respecting their lanes. Like Calliope won't go in and edit something on the board. She'll say that's Augur's role, and she'll step aside and let him do it. Even though, so I guess the way I've described this is each of them are kind of my horses, and the only way I've penned the horses at the moment is I put 4 stakes around them and then kind of loosely put some dental floss, and they don't seem to want to break the gate. But I'm putting boards up now to make it more rigid. But it's one of those things where you put a horse in, and if they don't know they can clear the fence, they just tend not to. But I know that I need to make it more firm than that. But right now they operate with the um, common memory, their own profiles. They know their roles and their identity, and they generally respect it. Occasionally they do breach, but generally they do respect it. But I do kind of need to get them more contained in their own sandboxes for future development. But at the moment, they are pretty good at managing it. And the reason I haven't done the containerization is I originally was planning to use Windows, but you can't, you got to log in and out. And if you do it within WSL, then it starts to get a little hairy and not as rigid of a control over the box. So there's just some things around that I haven't quite navigated, but I'm more interested in getting the reins and the bridle on in place first before I worry about, locking down the actual permissions and firming up the fence.
Fantastic, Tom.
Thank
This
you so
it
much for
reminds
listening,
me
everyone.
that it would be helpful if we had a standing project or a set of specifications, SOPs and some ADRs. And then as folks are trying out their new harnesses and setups and systems, they could run them against a standing project and see how the time, the token usage, bug cycles, all of that kind of thing compares to other setups. I think it'd be a neat exercise if we had something standing that everybody could just grab from the open source repo and run their system against to see how it works. But it looks fantastic, and it must be nice to have that chat feature with your actual agents as they go through the process.
Yeah, I gotta say the thing that the two pieces I like the most is I just can open their board at any time and see where they are on a particular project and what their blocker is. And we do a stand up. And I just say to any one of them, they have a very strict stand up protocol. Calliope, can
Nice.
you do a stand up with me right now, please? And basically,
Sorry.
they do the same thing a dev would, and they'll just give me current status of how many cards in process, etc. So at any stage while I'm walking around, I can get the latest update on their current sprint.
Nice. And then we're gonna have Barry Hurd up.
Yep. Yeah. Absolutely. Thanks so much for listening, guys. I appreciate the extra time today. But
He's gonna give us a stand-up
Do
review.
0, in progress 2,
Nice.
validating 1, done 14, 17 total, 1 blocker, Teal must review CAL 254. He's idle and hasn't taken it, he won't jump his own sprint 8Q without your word. Tell him to take it, that's the whole stand-up. Everything else clears behind it.
so you can see she's got
Excellent.
nothing in to do, one in progress, 2 validating 1, 14 are done, and she's blocked by another agent right now, and she's asking me to clear him because he's putting something else as priority over her at the moment. So she's asking me to clear it. So
There you
that's it.
go.
Thanks, guys.
Good.
I'll stop the sharing now. If you have any
Very
questions
good.
about it, just DM me or contact me on LinkedIn. Thanks again for listening.
Super, Tom. We'll see you at the next Toronto meetup, which should be coming up. Knock on wood, September.
Yeah, I hope so.
it should be
Yeah, it's
September.
been a while.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. And as Nick was saying, there's a new Trouble Cafe who is hosting us for the first 2 years. They've actually moved to a new location, and it's a really nice one. So they've just gotten set up, they've settled in, and apparently there's lots of capacity. So we're just going to confirm with Heather and Tribal Scale, and we should be good to go in September. So be nice to see you in person there again.
Yeah, Tom's a regular at 111, so he knows the way.
Yeah. So we got one more lightning talk, Nick. Barry Hurd is with us. He's got always got amazing stuff to show. I have to run at 1 o'clock. We'll get Barry started. Barry, how are you?
Pretty good, pretty good. I mean, I'll keep mine pretty precise and quick. I've got everything set up to walk through the basic of what it is, and ironically enough, Nick opened with one of the problems that I was solving, so it's good to go. So basically, I was going to just walk through what I call my Helm system, which is a funny acronym for heuristic engine for layered mockups. It's what I use to create all my dashboards and whatnot. And I'll have a public Git that I'll share probably sometime early next week. Because of what it's doing, I've got to nail all sorts of IP and copyright disclaimers on it because of what I'm touching. But it'll be fun if you want. I put a message in the chat window as far as connect with me on LinkedIn, send me a DM here, just get me your info, and I'll put you on the list and get you in the CC. So what Helm is basically a dashboard creation device that uses an agent layer that looks at data. It ingests what it's looking. It fires off a deep research report if needed, and then it maps out and looks at a directory and matching taxonomy of this type of data works with this type of style. And in this case, the reason I call this the sci-fi dashboard design is the core styles that I loaded into this was around 50 plus different science fiction, pop culture, everything from Star Trek, Star Wars, Blade Runner, Tron, all the fun stuff. I'll show you how some of that works. Basically, what we're trying to do is make sure that when somebody has data coming into the system and they don't know what to do with it, that the dashboard has a widget structure and it understands this type of data is best suited by this type of UI or graphic visualization. And then it runs through questions about, does it need to be animated? Does it need to be static? So one of the core reasons that I focused on this sort of Hollywood graphic design item is when you're doing this work for Hollywood and you're putting it into like a major motion picture, they have what's effectively called the 1 second rule, that when you see a UI on the screen, like you have to be able to read and understand what they're trying to convey in that 1 second. And that doesn't always work in reality, but when you're watching a Marvel film or some horror science fiction film and you just have a 1 or 2 second period where you have to think, wow, and understand that this is a Mission Impossible dossier versus a computer encryption agent in the Matrix hunting down your hero. How do you convey that in 1 second? And from those rules, does that have a real world application? Can you make an actually useful dashboard out of it? Did somebody in Hollywood actually understand a really critical problem? And one of the core ones that this source starts out with is the whole Star Trek, like Leicar's dashboard utilization, because Star Trek and basically 1 or 2 genres launched a whole bunch of this UI dashboard definition, what we see in modern tech. And where this goes is we go from really chunky visuals that everybody gets off of Claude. It processes that off Claude or whatever tool set you're using. If you're uploading an Excel database, that's great. And then it takes the rules, it matches the rules, it creates a sample dashboard library based off image generators. So one of the critical things that this system does, that it doesn't rely on Claude code to do the visualization. It actually starts with one of the image generators, whether it's you direct it to GPT or Midjourney or your image tool of choice, because the image generators are honestly just 10 times more creative and visual. And once it gets these samples back, it queries you as a human in the loop to say which elements do you want to actually develop out in code and adopt over into the actual system. So you get a lot of really unique visuals. And then it goes into this process. Basically, it goes into a very structured system. We have 20 different graphic examples of, is this what you're looking for? Great. You make your choices, and then it immediately goes through a process of codifying that and making it into an actual UI that you can use with your system.
Quick question. So instead of fitting the data into an UI, you fit the UI to the data.
Correct.
That's nice.
And if you fit the UI to the data, and you also fit the UI to the persona. So as you're going through the original foundational setup, it'll ask you if you have a ideal customer profile or a persona that you want to map, and it'll make choices based upon who you think is going to be looking at it. So with that, I'll wrap up the walkthrough, because this is the sort of like the guide or the eye candy stuff that shows you where some of the designs came from. So this is the science fiction visual reference catalog that, when I was mentioning it earlier, it has everything from the Leicar system to Marvel, Iron Man, industrial terminals coming off various Star Wars, Minority Report, Hard Realism, NASA controls, Matrix. All of these things, all these assets are going to be in the Git. So if you guys want to modify it or add your own library, there's a couple hundred reference images that tells the system this is exactly what we're trying to build around and kick out on the code side.
So this is a repo where you can download this kind of system, and it fits automatically the UI. That's great, really nice.
Yeah, I'm going to have a complete version of it that is you can fire it off through the command line. So I'll publish it as a Git, and then it also has a byproduct that if you don't want to run that version, it'll run a more simplified prompt generator that you can just export the prompts and kick it into your other tool sets.
You should check out the book Make It So. It's a study of all sci-fi interfaces.
Yeah.
They did it in like 2012. You're probably familiar with it.
Yeah, I've got a whole ledger of a couple hundred examples. So that's in the Git as well. So if I had a visual or I crawled it and I got a good visual, that's in the repo. So again, just in the chat window, you can either drop me a message, connect with me on LinkedIn, and then as soon as I get all this disclaimer and copyright stuff, I'll make it public and share it with everybody.
Tremendous. That looks like so much fun and true to form, very meticulous, well researched. All the nooks and crannies.
Yeah, no, I try to, my focus when I'm working on these tools is to build cookie cutters that build other cookie cutters. So this is one of my foundational, how do I speed up a core process and apply it to 50 other projects I'm touching.
Right. Excellent. Yeah, I hope to have you back, Barry, specifically on some of the elements that you can share, of course, but on your perspectives and your approach to research, because you've got a tremendous history there, and all the folks doing incredible work in research. You're one of the leading parties.
Yeah, this is a direct sort of a child or spawn of that work. So many of the research projects are in all sorts of categories, ranging from life science to cybersecurity to cannabis. Like I can't tell you how many hundreds of different categories it is, and every different audience wants a different visualization. This was the answer to that problem.
Right. Well, we'll be looking for that Git, that's for sure.
Yep.
Questions for Barry?
When can we start using it? Just kidding.
Timeline.
I'll share the beta with you. I can't put out the public one until the the disclaimer and everything else, the don't sue Barry clauses are all in.
That's important.
Hey, Rob, do you mind if I grab the screen for like a
Oh,
minute?
fellow. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Good to see you again. How are you?
Oh, it seems for some reason I can't share my screen, but I just drop in a link because
No, that's okay. We'll get it set up. I think you should be able to do a share request that'll pop up for Nick.
okay.
Did it come in, Nick? The share request?
Should be open for everyone after that initial
Okay, good.
No, it's probably on my side, but I just dropped in a link, and you can check it. Because even like a few days ago or like a week ago, I had this idea that I want to be able to chat with my AI building blocks. Because usually I kind of reach out to them through Terminal. And I come up with a solution where I can kind of use push to talk type of discussion with them. It's not a huge idea. I used Omnigen for the substrate to run the agents. And the only interesting part was, to enable that small agent which routes my request to the right session. It had some logic and it had some kind of context and let's call tools. But this way I can kind of talk back to a specific session. And it has a few features like, because in the first version, I was a bit annoyed when, it started to talk me in a longer way and I didn't need it. So now if you just push again this push to talk button, then you stop the agent. But the original session will get how much of the text was already said and which not, and which is my additional request. And based on that, it can, you can do some follow-up requests, or you can kind of just interrupt the agent and tell them, okay, I just need a one-word answer. And for those type of agents, when you just use very frequently on a daily basis, it's very helpful because, Savin is kind of much quicker than reaching out to them through Raycast or something like that. Or another favorite use case is that I have a YouTube video link on the clipboard and I just push the button and, hey, grab that link from the clipboard and just give me a 3-sentence summary. And it just gives me a summary quickly. And I don't need to deal with it. And my other idea was if I want to kind of log some daily habits, I don't need to write them down or even just use like a monologue app or something like that. I can just tell them, hey, please log that. I don't know. I was drinking water.
I'm just looking through the bridge visual. Nice.
So the idea was that I'm using Hammerspoon because for whatever reason, Raycast was not able to know whether I'm releasing the buttons. So I needed to use Hammerspoon for that. It has two dependencies right now, Hammerspoon and Omnigen for the kind of substrate for the sessions.
Yeah, Omnigen. I haven't used it before.
It's a nice system. I think Databricks released it like a few months ago.
Yep, that's it. Nice.
Thank you.
And same thing, you can talk with individual sessions. You can lift content from different branches, whatever they're working on, and unstick one process or another.
Yes, and right now it only supports those sessions which were started by this solution. But I think it's very easy to hack into that. You can talk with any of the sessions that you have on your laptop, or if you're using, because Omnigent has some features, I'm not leveraging it, but you can add some kind of runners, so you can run sessions on different, servers.
Right, and then it's just scale.
Yes.
Right. one node, and that
Yes.
becomes a node, and then there's a node of those, a collection of those nodes. Yep.
Yes, but I'm just
Fantastic.
so right now it's an early experimentation. I was curious, what does it look like to talk with your agents, and so far it's useful. And the more building blocks I have, the more I can leverage. Because for example, I have a repository which I'm using to configure my laptop, and now I can just ask, hey, bartender is not started at the login time, please fix it. And from that point, I don't need to deal with that. And the more and more stuff I have, the more and more power I can use through voice.
Single point of interaction on the go.
Yes.
Yeah. Very nice. Questions for fellow? Fellow, are you in Budapest right now, fellow?
Yes.
Yeah, wonderful. We met fellow at the craft conference back in June. We all traveled out there to the craft conference. So it was a wonderful summer. Lots of neat stuff too at that conference, the event. You have one coming up in October, is that right?
Yes. October 1 and 2. It's called Compass. So if somebody's in Europe, I'm happy to share some discount codes. And even now we have a lot of programs. Maybe I will share to you with Rob, and if you can share with the community, because we try to support startups. We try to solve for any startup which has less than 2 million euro revenue, they can get 2 free tickets. If somebody's a tech leader, they can apply for a free tickets. And we want to support people who are, so they want to change their career because they realize that maybe they want to know more about AI, or even just a Scrum Master nowadays. It's not the safest job, probably. We see we see the previous presentation that so even for those people, they can apply for a free ticket, and we have a quite big contingency for this type of program. So even those who otherwise wouldn't be afford the conference, now they can join. And we have speakers from like Netflix, LinkedIn, Google,
hello.
NVIDIA.
And now that you mentioned that, I live in Tenerife Island. I unfortunately missed the last meeting that you had in July. I was not able to go. But what you're saying is, I actually moved my career. I come from the oil and gas business, and many engineering how you say it, different engineering levels, no? But I moved to the AI because I know it was the future like 4 or 5 years ago, and I've been working on that, but I've not been able to enter in the market as a AI engineer or something like that. So I joined the team, I joined the group 1 year ago, and I've been working since then in agentic engineering. So now that you mentioned that, is very important for me to give the last step to be able to get properly in the market. This is something that you recommend me to go there, how to do it. I don't know, any input from anybody, but at least from you that you're in Europe, no?
I can imagine that it's hard. I think what could be interesting if you, because one recommendation that I keep hearing, that if you are an expert of some workflows, which are quite far from AI, and maybe your previous experience is related to this, but you start having this AI knowledge, then the two together can be very useful, because then you can automate workflows or augment workflows, which usually somebody who only knows AI, it's very hard for them, because sometimes, people try to communicate, it's not an easy topic.
They don't have the big picture. Yeah.
But even this event can be interesting to you.
Yes.
So Jose, obviously we do have a job kind of section approach that Nick has started on Agentics Foundation, but there may be some stuff depending, maybe, I'm happy to have a quick chat with you.
I would be, that would be very helpful, because I've been trying to, but I'm in this loop of believing that I'm not good enough, and I
Yeah.
keep stopping myself to get into the market.
Yeah, and self-doubt is a real thing, right? When you're doing this entrepreneurial life, and one thing that I would suggest is a couple of things. Like one that really helped me personally was a lot of open source projects, and I was kind of building in private and stuff like that, and
Yeah,
people didn't really
like
know where I was at, right? And really publishing those and pushing them. That's one piece. The next piece is this concept that people have a really hard time with because we're so wired into like you go to work for 3 hours, 8 hours, whatever it is, and you get paid for that time, right? And it's sort of the opposite that you need to invoke in your life, your business, and basically like you look at a person, any person that comes up, like treat them all the same kind of thing, and you never know which one could potentially offer some sort of reciprocation. But the idea is, you know, do as much as you can within your time, finance, experience, and your capacity to help the person while expecting nothing in return, right? And
yeah,
just keep doing that as much as you can with as many people as you can. And obviously, you still got to keep the lights on and the food on the table and house roof over your head and stuff like that. But what you'll start to see, Jose, and particularly with your like skills and expertise and stuff like that, there's things that you can do that you really perceive as completely trivial. Like, not that you're thinking of badly of someone that can't do it, but in your world, it's very easy for you to do. It might take you 5 minutes a day. But in
yeah,
someone else's world, it's like transformational. It's something they're spending 4, 5, or 6, or the whole day trying to and stressing over and missing soccer games and so on. So
yeah.
that process is a lot easier than people think, leaning on your skills and expertise. And when you start to do that, like, for example, like, and this is like long story short kind of thing, but, I helped a guy that I met down the street from my house with this, like, simple business, which is essentially to me quite a simple business. And really what he needed was call tracking. And I haven't been doing call tracking for like 15 years. Like it's not complicated to me, right? But to him, it was really, really hard, right? And producing
Yeah.
a website and these things. And I wrapped this up in a couple of days. And he had a relationship with a professor at the University of Toronto. And, he's like, I'd really like for you to manage this relationship for me. And, maybe you can start teaching at the school and stuff like that. And then, okay, so by helping that guy, he introduced me to someone else. And so what I did with the professor was I started helping him with something that, again, to me was fairly trivial, but was taking him a huge amount of his day in terms of
Yeah.
logistics, finding projects for students. And I had this AI automation or no, traditional automation appointment setting system that I've been running for 7 years. So it was essentially just like an extra account on my thing. So it cost me what, like $100 a month to do it. And a lot of people would say, "Oh, $100! Like you can't spend $100 on this, But it was within my reasonable budget to manage that. I already had the team that was doing the actual fulfillment. And it took a tremendous amount of pressure off of him for me to do that for him, right? And what happened then? Like, okay, I got introduced to like all these enterprise relationships that I would never have access to otherwise. And he introduced me to this guy, I think you may know him, Reuven Cohen, right?
Oh,
So, and then I started, what did I
a
do with
Volvo?
Reuven? What
A
I did the
Volvo?
same, I did the same thing with Reuven, right? Like what's Reuven motivated by? What can I help him with? I expect nothing from him in terms of monetary compensation, but it started to reciprocate. He started to help me. He started to teach me. Why do you think that is? Right? Like why he didn't just do that because he liked me or something. Well, maybe he did or whatever, but
Probably,
he
yeah.
didn't do it. The more I helped him, and he was like the most generous in terms of reciprocation that I may have ever seen, yet I had the most to gain from his attention and support. So that process, but that happened, there was like 3 guys ahead of that, right? And like look where it's led, right? Like to things I couldn't imagine doing, right? Like building and creating things that are just like
Yeah.
5, 6 years ago, Nick, couldn't imagine be doing this stuff, right? But it all started with that same thrust of how much can I do for this person within my means, expecting nothing from them, and the rest just starts to take care of itself. It starts to spin. This wheel starts spinning so fast. Social credit, you start to build up so much of it that things just start good things start happening for you because you're putting so many good things out there that it just eventually overflows. And at first, it may seem a little bit hard. And like you said, a lot of self doubt and things like that that creep in. Man, I've been there, like years of it. Like I left a job at the bank where I was making, $180,000 a year, and then here I am making $18,000 a year at my business. Like
Sounds familiar.
yeah. So these things, we all go through them, and it's like those of us that can kind of work through them and look inside as opposed to out. I was always looking outside, like what could I do to market better? What could I do to promote my brand better? What could I do? And at the end of the day, the best lesson was really just looking internally. How can I be a better human being? How can I be caring more? How can I be a little bit more in touch with, you know, uh, my health and things, like, and it was like if I would have learned that like 5 years before that, I would have, got a lot further, a lot faster. But that was those are the sort of biggest things that I would suggest you look at, and the rest just sort of starts to
Follows. The
starts to
rest follows.
turn it for you. Yeah, you got the skills, man. I know that.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah,
And I would heartily encourage any excuse to get to Budapest as well, Jose.
Alrighty.
Just in general.
I wanted to go. I love the city. All right, thanks.
Beautiful, Mixer. Well,
Does
Nick, what do
anyone
you
else
say,
have?
sir?
Well, I got some time, Rob, if you got to jump, but does anyone else want to share anything that they've been building? If not, we'll sort of wrap it up here, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Thanks for
Thank you very
presenting,
much.
Philip. Thanks, Barry, and Tom. I'm not sure if he's still here, but thanks to everyone who presented Lightning Talks today.
Yeah, thank you, Barry. Thanks.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Yeah. Jose, I've just dropped you my number, so feel free to reach out.
Okay, thank you very much. Just a second.
Cheers.
Or I send you a message I DM you in LinkedIn probably.
My number should be in the private chat to you. You can just message me
okay.
on WhatsApp.
Okay, I see it now. Sorry.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye, guys.